World economy in worst recession since the Great Depression. The Nasdaq chart has gone parabolic, and double-dip recession fears are surging. A second pandemic wave is ravaging. The Fed has an excuse to do another round of QE or a variation of it. The economy is in big trouble. The people have no money. The banks are failing. We're broke as we watch the world markets collapse. But the banksters never seem to be hurt. The central bankers, Wall Street, and hedge funds, and the other wealthy elites are in control and hold 99% of all the capital. MMT guarantees massive financial asset inflation. Asset markets have detached themselves from reality. If we just called it the big casino instead of the global economy, it would be easier to understand and probably more honest. The casino is pretty accurate. They shave off a little at a time over the years whilst convincing you that you're a winner. Fake stock market and really pissed off people. The saying goes, the house always wins, yet the hobbits still go back to the casino every chance they get. Most people are not working, most are broke. But corporations are going like gangbusters while America burns to the ground. So they introduced the lockdowns in order to siphon wealth from small businesses into the stocks. The economy will never return to normal without a mega crash. Crash the global economy. However, the elite makes their bucks by foreclosing on you and me. Delaying the inevitable just worsens the pain. Just look at that Nasdaq chart. It looks like the mother of all parabolic blow-offs is gonna happen. Double down on your preps. If it isn't because of the massive crop failures of Central and South America, it will be a food crisis here in the US. By the way, coffee has been wiped out in Colombia, stock up. Welcome back to the Atlantis Report. You are here for your daily dose of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please take a second to click the like button. As many of you have asked me about where they can buy silver and gold bullion. You will find in the description box the links where you can buy American Silver Eagle, silver bars, and rounds. I highly recommend that you too, start stacking some silver bullion for the future. The banking system is screwed. The collapse can't be stopped. BlackRock is bailing them out right now via the Fed Reserve repo market daytime and overnight, and BlackRock can only stem the tide for so long before it collapses too. The money that would need to be printed to sort this out would render money worthless. No major bank is going to survive what is coming. Most pension funds are screwed too, very heavy on bonds and retail space. The collapse is inevitable. Get your money out of the banks now before it's too late. More money printed in 2020 alone than the last 50 years combined. Infinite QE and easy money are here to stay no matter what happens with the pandemic. Price surges are coming. In 2007-08 a few subprime loans caused the banking system to have a cardiac arrest. Well, what the hell will happen when 30–50% of all AAA+++ loans on prime real estate in New York and London go bad? It's an F-shaped recovery. Nothing a new vaccine can't fix with real unemployment at 39% plus and an 80+ million unemployed, and with a new Congress that will not help the millions of us who have lost our jobs because of the pandemic. 215 million eligible workers, participation rate of 61.4% that leaves 89+ million without jobs, which translates into a 40% unemployment rate. Keeping in mind that during the Great Depression, the height of unemployment was 26%. An unfunded debt of $200 trillion in the US. The national debt is claimed to be just shy of $30 trillion, but that doesn't take into account pensions, loans, social security, healthcare, etc. Interest rates at 10% would cost more a year in interest payments than the largest ever annual deficit 2020. It would certainly force the government to stop all the ridiculous social spending and even have to slash the military budget by 2/3. This would still leave the US with the world's largest military budget but much less global reach. Raising interest rates is a great idea, but we will instantly fold as a country. I'd say 10% is a possible 10-year plan. A perfectly executed plan to destroy America now comes to the 6-month lockdown, and the bankers and their comrades have what they all dreamed of. Wait until nobody Christmas shops. That's the one hope retailers have been clinging to with the tips of their fingernails. Slam Malanki of doom is coming for all of them as mom and pop are getting shut down by the governors and mayors. That light at the end of the tunnel is, in fact, a train coming our way. And fast. We are witnessing a Great Depression-level drop in employment, fastest spike in defaults, bankruptcies, and foreclosures. The stock market is going up. Why? The economy is dead. It's beyond reality, and people who are in this rally are naive. They will lose a lot soon. The markets are being pumped so that they can pull the plug at the right time. Once a war starts or civil war, they will pull the plug on the markets, ensuring that chaos will be as bad as it can get. 401ks will disappear, companies will shutter and close, unemployment will be over 50%, and the war can go full swing. Here comes the big squeeze. Call it for what it is, the Great Reset. They seek to destroy most incomes to force people into government handouts. But you won't get your handout without taking your medicine first. The Western finance capitalist system and architecture are built to burn down at the slightest drop of revenue for the corporate structure, via their house of cards architecture of interbank lending and concomitant connectivity linkages. The great financial crisis of 2008 was just a test case, designed to elicit an emotional response for the next wave of bankruptcies that will most assuredly topple the entire Western financial edifice of interbank lending, which will, in turn, topple all the banks in the Western world. The global economy is in very poor shape. Western leaders tell us otherwise because they deliberately want to mislead us into a false sense of security so that, like good little sheep, we will put our masks on to go out and consume, so create the inflation that they so desperately need and which is not very good for we the people. Everything disappoints, yet the markets continue to levitate. The Dow has put on about 12,000 since the pandemic started. We have a zombie economy and promising vaccine candidates that half the US population will likely refuse to take. And yet, Wall Street valuations are at an all-time high. The only real thing driving American markets is the hope of more stimulus and further dollar devaluation. What could possibly go wrong? The only stimulus will make new highs. This is just the fiat that was put back into the game that was previously taken off the table. The debt and interest rates prove that there isn't any more sustainable upside. The less than stellar earnings growth in the tech sector has been the only earnings growth across all markets over the last 10 years, and even these have been made with the aid of stock buybacks and creative accounting. The stock market is a wealth redistribution mechanism. It is totally fake. The pandemic is being used so that the banks can crash the stock market. The Fed wants everything. They want all assets as cheap as they can get them in order to buy up everything for pennies on the dollar. The Fed and BlackRock own it all. The old pony soldier makes a case for a total shutdown of world economies. The ride over the cliff will be fast, the drop long, and then the sudden impact with the ground loud. This is why our beloved elites have organized lockdowns and planning the Great Reset globally. There is no way going back to pre-pandemic days because the elites are over-leveraged and never able to pay back what borrowed even with zero interest rates. They need a war or a global catastrophe, imaginary or real, to inflate the debt away. All according to plan. The Great Reset in 2021. The creation of money out of thin air through credit cannot replace effort and ingenuity. Sadly, the educational systems of the world are failing their students and not teaching them how to create wealth independently. Also, there is decreasing the incentive to do so, through the regulatory system, taxes, student loan debt, uncertain revenues from year to year, and an attitude in American society that resents success, one that loves riches but loathes those who do what's necessary to get rich. We are in a world of trouble. Pun intended. Simply put, most government spending has a multiplier effect of less than 1, while private business investment has a multiplier effect much greater than 1, and why low corporate tax rates stimulate real economic growth. In the meantime, the Federal Reserve is giving people the impression that unless you gamble in the stock markets, there is no money for us. Instead of having us gamble to try to make some money, why don't they just give us the free money they are giving to the corporations by way of inflating their stocks, buying up all their debt, getting other people to help inflate their stocks, and not to mention the tax break Trump gave to corporations, reducing their rates from 35% all the way down to 21%. The corporations are all spoiled due to actions of the Federal Reserve and the Trump administration. And now, corporations no longer have to issue new debt in order to survive and having to pay it back. Now they can just issue new shares of stocks, and the Federal Reserve will buy. Never in our history has our zombie companies come back to life like they are today. And with all of the Main Street businesses closing up permanently, the only survivors and thrivers during this pandemic is Wall Street. But like I've been saying, the Federal Reserve is laying a trap for all investors to entice everyone that they can to get into this manipulated market, so they will be able to destroy as many people as possible financially when the order is given to pull the plug on all of the markets. We will be going from the state of easy money to complete economic devastation. My guess is that it will happen in 2021. They are just preparing their scapegoats. In the meantime, the traps have been set. The Federal Reserve is currently the buyer and lender of last resort. Soon they will be the controllers of last resort. And the government will have to step aside. And if Janet Yellen becomes Treasury Secretary, the marriage will be complete. First, she ran the Federal Reserve. Now, she will be running our U.S. Treasury Department in order to complete the merger between the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve. Heck, they may as well rename our country the United States of the Federal Reserve. This was the Atlantis Report. Please like, share, leave me a comment, subscribe. And please take some time to subscribe to my backup channels. I do upload videos there too. You'll find the links in the description box. You will also find a PayPal link if you want to make a donation. Thank you wholeheartedly to all those of you who have donated. Stay safe and healthy, friends.